Hey everyone, we're going to do a real quick one too, actually. The first two in section 2.8, numbers 1 and 2. This involves the intermediate value theorem, which you'll need to make sure you watch the video on that and the bisection method in section 2.8. I abbreviate intermediate value theorem IVT for short. So number 1 says, does the function x cubed plus x take on the value 3 for some x in the interval from 2 to 3. So this is the domain interval. X is anywhere from 2 up to and including 3. So the way the intermediate value theorem simply works is if I evaluate this function at these endpoints, so f of 2, easy evaluation gives me 10. F of 3, plug in, gives me 30. Okay. If any value that therefore between 10 and 30, we know this function, since it is indeed continuous, x cubed plus x is continuous on this interval, we're guaranteed to obtain every value between 10 and 30. Since 3 is not between 10 and 30, the intermediate value theorem does not apply. Now, it doesn't mean that the function doesn't obtain a value of 3 on this interval, but we can't just assume that. Okay, so in other words, from 10 to 30, it might drop down from 10 down to 3 and then back up to 30. That's a possibility. So we can't just say, no, it doesn't take on the value 3, but all we can say is the intermediate value theorem does not apply. If these two numbers were such that 3 was contained between the two, then the intermediate value theorem would guarantee that the function obtains the value 3 on that interval. So that's the intermediate value theorem for number 1. Number 2, same sort of question, different function. Does this function take on the value of 0.002 for some x in the interval from 0 to 1? Well, I've plugged in the function at, evaluate the function at 0, which if I plug in 0 for x, I just get 0. And then I evaluate the function at 1. If I plug in 1, I get 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5. Since 0.002 is between 0 and 1.5, the intermediate value theorem does apply. And therefore, we know the function does take on this value for some x in this interval. At least one value x in this interval. Okay, so that's all there is to it for the intermediate value theorem. Pretty easy stuff. Hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions.